everyone! In today's video, I wanted to show you how I did this 3D butterfly art. I did it all with acrylic, and I want to tell you step by step so you guys can do this at home. But before we start, remember that it's so important to always prep the nails. And since I'm using a plastic hand, all I can really do is file them. And now that I have that done, I'm gonna start getting the form ready. And just like always, I'm gonna do these cuts on the side because they're gonna serve me as a guide for me to know where I have to apply the acrylic. It's gonna make the entire process a lot easier for me. For today's video, I'm gonna be doing coffin-shaped nails, so that's the reason why I closed off the form a lot more than usual. And now that I have everything done, I'm gonna start building up this nail by applying the first bead between the natural nail and the form. You guys know that I always like to do this because it makes the nail a lot stronger and it has less chances of breaking. And then once I have that done, I'm gonna cover up everything else with the last bead. And of course, I'm gonna wait a couple seconds until the nail is dried enough for me to apply some pressure on the sides. I always like to do this because it makes the nails look a lot more natural. A little tip that I have for you guys is to make sure that you keep a paper on the side so you guys can keep cleaning the brush because acrylic dries off by itself, so it's not only gonna dry on the nail, but it can possibly dry on the brush and ruin it. Trust me, that happened to me a bunch of times, so make sure to keep cleaning it. And of course, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the sides. Remember that when you guys are doing coffin nails, you have to close off the form a lot more because otherwise that can make your nail look more like a square-shaped nail. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm gonna do these nails pretty long. They're gonna be a little bit over medium size. And once I have the coffin shape done, I'm gonna apply the second bead. The way I'd like to do this is that first I connect it with what I already have, and then I keep pushing it upwards. When you guys do this, make sure that you don't touch the cuticle too much because what can happen is that can cause lifting. And now onto the last nail. Here, actually I forgot to film this part, but basically what I done is that I created the coffin shape. And now that I have that done, I'm going to apply the last bead and I'm gonna cover everything that is left. And of course, I'm gonna apply some pressure on the sides, just like always. And this is how the nails look like. They are not perfect because what we have to do now is file them. You guys know that filing is one of the most important steps because what this is gonna do is perfect the shape that we done. And since this is coffin shaped nails, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna file the sides and I'm gonna follow the natural shape that coffin has. And this is how the nails look like after filing the sides. Now the only thing left is to file the surface. And I like to do this with my e-file, but if you guys don't want to use this, you can use a regular one. Here, what I'm gonna do is file the nail pretty thin, and I'm gonna make sure that there's no bumps left. This is how the filed nails look like. Now everything is done and we're ready to do the design. Before we start, you guys know that it's so important to clean off the nails because after filing, there's always gonna be some dust left behind. And if we don't do this, what can happen is that our gel polish can end up being dirty. For today's base, I chose this really pretty nude pink. Since I'm going to be doing this 3D butterfly, I thought that it would go well together. And since this color is pretty pale, I'm going to go over it a few times until it ends up being the color that I like. And since these are gel polishes, I'm going to have to cure them to dry them. So what that means is that I'm gonna have to put them under the light for about 30 seconds until it's fully cured. And what you guys have to make sure here is that all of the nails are well covered, because if there's any spots left, that can make our design look a little bit strange. And of course, now that I'm done applying the gel polish, I'm gonna cure everything for about 30 seconds. And this is how the base looks like. I think this color looks so pretty and it's gonna make the design look very elegant. So for today's video, I'm gonna mix 3D nail art with sugar nails. So this is what we're gonna be doing on this first nail. That's why I applied some top coat, but I'm not gonna cure it yet, because first I'm gonna apply some of these shine, some of these sparkles. I chose the color white because I feel like it's gonna go well with the butterflies. And what I'm gonna do now that I have the top coat applied is that I'm gonna put the sparkles all over it. Here, like you guys can tell, the top coat serves as a glue because all the sparkles are gonna stick. But here what you guys have to make sure is that everything is well covered. And once that's done, I'm gonna cure it for about 1 minute. Now, moving on to the second nail, which is gonna be the fun part, because here's where we're gonna do the butterflies. And first, what I'm gonna do is that I'm also gonna apply some top coat, and I'm gonna cure it for about 60 seconds because I wanna protect the color that I applied. And since I'm gonna be using acrylic, I'm also gonna file this top coat just a bit so the acrylic sticks. For the 3D butterflies, I'm gonna use this 3D brush. Like you guys can tell, it has a pointy tip, and it's gonna make the whole process a lot easier. So what I'm gonna do first is that I'm gonna make this small acrylic bead. I'm gonna be using white acrylic. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use my brush and I'm gonna keep moving the sides around until it kind of looks like a drop, because this is gonna serve us as the butterfly wing. The hard part about this is that you have to be really good with the monomer and acrylic ratio, because you guys have to make sure that the acrylic bead is not too humid but also not too dry, because if it's too humid, it's just gonna fall apart, but if it's too dry, you're not gonna be able to move it around. I hope you guys can tell, but I did the wing on top bigger than the one on the bottom, because I feel like that's gonna make the butterfly look more realistic. And now I'm gonna apply a little bit of top coat and this crystal, and I'm gonna cure everything for about 60 seconds. What this is gonna do is that it's gonna serve me as the body of the butterfly. And now onto the left side. Here I'm gonna start with the bigger wing. And what I'm gonna do is the same thing. I'm gonna create a small bead, and I'm gonna keep moving the sides until it kind of looks like a butterfly wing. Also, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm gonna do this little dent in the middle of the butterfly wing in all of them. And to do that, I'm gonna use my brush like I'm doing right now. I'm gonna keep pushing it until it creates this dent. I feel like that makes the butterfly look a little bit more realistic. In this nail, I'm gonna be making 2 butterflies, and the one on the bottom, the one that I'm doing right now, is going to be a little bit smaller than the first one, because otherwise I'm not gonna have enough space to make it. I know that doing these butterflies can seem hard, but honestly, the more you do this type of 3D art, the easier it's gonna be for you. And of course, now that I'm done doing the first 2 wings, I'm gonna put some more top coat, and I'm gonna put this crystal, just like I done earlier. When you guys are doing this butterfly, what you guys have to check is that both sides of the butterfly, the left one and the right one, have to be identical pretty much, because otherwise they can end up looking a little bit crooked. Also, another tip that I have for you is that if you see that the acrylic bead is too humid, wait a few seconds and then start moving it all over again. And this is how the butterflies look like. Now, for the last two nails, it's going to be way easier because here what we're gonna do is French nails. But before we start, I'm gonna apply some top coat and I'm gonna cure everything for about 60 seconds. These French nails are gonna be a little bit different because they're not gonna be traditional. And to do that, I'm gonna use this very thin brush. And here what I'm gonna do instead of making round lines is that I'm gonna make straight ones that are gonna go all the way down until the tip of the nail. And then of course I'm gonna cover both sides with white gel polish. And here the most important part is that you guys have to make sure that both lines are completely straight, because we're also going to apply some of these sparkles on top, so make sure that you don't cure this white gel polish before you do that. And now that I applied some of these sparkles, I'm going to cure it for about 60 seconds. On this last nail, I'm going to do the same thing. First, I'm going to create both straight lines, guidelines, and then I'm going to fill up both sides. Now that I have that done, I'm gonna apply some more sparkles. Here what you have to make sure is that all the white gel polish is well covered, especially the sides, because that's what we tend to forget. And this is how the design looks like, but we're not completely done yet because we have to clean up the extra sparkles. And to do that, I'm just gonna use this brush. And like you guys can tell, that's gonna make the French nails look a lot cleaner. I know that it can be a little bit hard to do these 3D butterflies, but trust me, it's all about practicing. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please subscribe and like this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!